I stayed silent for 10 days. I went to a forest with a group of random strangers. I didn't talk to anyone for 10 days. I meditated for somewhat 11 hours every day. I woke up at 4 in the morning and meditated all the way up to 9 at night with a few breaks in between. So yes, I went to a Vipassana retreat. Was it difficult? To be honest, it was at several points. But was it doable? And was it worth it? Certainly. And in this video, I'll be talking about all the lessons that I learned from the Vipassana retreat that I went to. And I'll also be busting several myths that's generally associated with 10 days of silent Vipassana meditation. And I can say confidently that going to Vipassana was one of the best decisions that I've taken in my life.
So, according to what I had heard about Vipassana, I thought that this was a very difficult experience, that people had to climb out of walls and fences to get out of this place. And I had this picture in mind about Vipassana, that it was this kind of a prison that people mistakenly got themselves into but died to get out from once they got in. But the reality was far from this.
So when it comes to Vipassana, I don't even know how I should break the experience down because it was such a surreal experience. There were just so many things that I realized and learned. So just think about it. You go to a very peaceful, very serene place for 10 days and you stay silent. This means that you're spending so many hours introspecting, and on top of that you're meditating for about 11 hours every day. So even when you think of it without even doing it, you might think that there's a lot that you can understand about yourself and your behavior patterns when you go to Vipassana. I do not think I am anyone to discuss the technique of Vipassana meditation or what the science behind the Vipassana meditation is. Yet this video will be revolving around my personal experience with Vipassana and why I want everyone watching this video to do a Vipassana session. And I'll also be talking about some of the things that could be helpful to you if you're planning to go for a Vipassana session anytime soon. So without delay, let's move on to the content of the video.
So, this video is going to be a long one, and I'll be speaking relatively slowly. So, make sure you don't walk out like this.
So there were several things that I learned from my Vipassana experience, and I'll be highlighting some of the major experiences that I had, some of the major revelations that I had. So the first of all of this is how much we speak. There were times during this retreat when I wanted to speak a lot, when I had so many thoughts, when I wanted to share this with other people, when I had so many creative thoughts and I wanted to express it in some way or the other. There were so many things that I wanted to tell to so many people once I got back home. As I observed silence for a long time, I realized that most of the things that we're speaking is futile, is pointless, because we can very well not say that thing and the situations will remain the same. Nothing will change at all. So most of the things that we find ourselves constantly chattering about are not really important, and that is what I learned from my experience. Now, even if someone does not get any of the other benefits, and even if someone learns that talking too much is an unnecessary thing and that we need to be very careful with our words, we need to be very selective with our words, that is a huge achievement in and of itself. And the other thing that I learned during my Vipassana retreat and also after I returned back home is how quick we are to react to anything that happens in our external environment. So it was very interesting because during the meditation session there were people who were coughing. Like, it's very natural for people to cough. Plus it was the winter season when I went there, so it was pretty common. People were coughing all the time. And my judgmental mind started judging people when they cough. I was trying to meditate, but it felt as if them coughing was disturbing my meditation. The teachers there also pointed out that we should not mind when other people cough or burp or fart, because you'll see that these things are very common there at Vipassana. And it's pretty obvious because you're cleansing your entire body system, you're cleansing your mind, and along with that, all of your toxicity and all of your waste will certainly look for a way to get out of your body, and that is through burps and farts and whatnot. Similarly, once I returned back, for a week I was a saint. I'll be totally honest, it was just for a week that I was a total saint. Nothing affected me, I was blissful. I was looking at people, observing how people were living their life, and just blissful about no reason whatsoever, blissful for just being alive. But then slowly time passed, a month went by, 2 months went by, and I started realizing how reactive I am to external circumstances. For example, if two other strangers are fighting, there is not much reason for me to think about it too much. Of course, if you can solve the problem, you can go and solve the problem. But if you're not solving the problem, but yet you're getting affected by any other event, or if you're very offended when someone passes a bad remark to you, or makes you angry, or has irritated you, before that I didn't even realize it. I was just a part of it. I was just being a part of the play. But it was after I returned and after having learned this practice of observation that I understood that most of our reactions are unnecessary and we're way better off without them. Now, even right now, if you can hear it properly, there's some noise going on upstairs. Someone is washing the dishes. And some part of my mind is getting irritated. I know that the dishes need to be done right now. But then I'm also clicking my video, and I also want to click my video immediately. But this one part of my mind is getting agitated. It's being angry that I'm not getting to film this video in a peaceful environment. Now that exactly is our behavior pattern. That exactly is our habit pattern. And that is exactly what Vipassana helps to break. So even though a small part of my mind is angry, I'm still aware that I'm getting angry, and that in itself is a great achievement. People do not realize it, they just express their anger immediately without even thinking about it. But right now, because I'm being able to rationalize it, and because I'm being able to see it from a distance, because I've been seeing myself from an eagle-eye perspective, I'm pretty fine with the clamoring of the dishes that's going on upstairs. So the other thing that Vipassana taught me was the importance of determination and the importance of self-discipline. There was this practice called adhishthana in Vipassana, which means that you had to sit for an hour-long meditation session without any movement whatsoever. Even if your hair itches, or even if you want to move your leg because you're experiencing a spasm, adhishthana means that you will not move no matter what. And I was not really ready to accept this. I knew that I would have pain in my back. I knew that I would have pain in my legs. But then one fine day I decided to go adhishthana just as instructed. And that is when I realized some surreal things which you might not necessarily believe right now, and I don't even want you to believe it right now, because I think that to believe anything one needs to experience these things firsthand. However, I'll still share my experience. So what happened is, as I sat in adhishthana, and just as how the guru there also mentioned, I realized that all the itching sensations and all the pain that I was experiencing was fake. Like seriously, fake. I realized that all the pain that I was experiencing and all the itching that I had did not need reaction from my part. I learned that it was totally impermanent. I noticed that it went away by itself without any effort on my part. All I had to do was just observe whatever was happening in my body. And voila, it went away. And that was very surprising to me. And I think that adhishthana, not just in meditation but in the larger picture, has developed a habit of sankalpa or determination in me. Whenever I take on a task, I remember that I've been through a very difficult practice. I remember that I've sat still for 1 hour without moving an inch. Compared to that, the other things that I'm generally lazy to do does not really seem like much, does not really seem like a difficult task anymore. That is another important thing that I have learned from my Vipassana experience. Similarly, there is this other thing that I realized. So earlier I thought that if someone went to Vipassana, they would change forever. They would have a sort of purification of themselves, such that they would become saints for life. But that's so not true. The most important thing here is consistency. Now, these are not my words, I learned it there, but then even the Guru had mentioned that the 10 days of Vipassana meditation is just the beginning. It's just to teach us the practice of Vipassana, just the how-to. Work of getting into details should be done by each individual. I've been meditating pretty consistently, but then I've not really meditated as much as the Gurus instructed me to. They had instructed us to meditate for an hour in the morning and an hour at night. I've not really been able to do this. I really want to do this, but I don't know when I'll get the courage and the determination to do this. However, I've still been meditating for about 1 hour in total every day, or 30 minutes per day at the least. I divide it into different sessions, and at times when I'm just bored, I just meditate. When I have nothing else to do, I just sit and meditate. I just observe the sensations in my body. Now, talking of boredom, Vipassana also taught me to live with boredom. Like, there was just so much of boredom. I don't know how I went through that boredom. When I try to remember how I spent that time, I feel very proud of myself because I remember how painful each second was. In times when I was meditating, I at least had the feeling that I was doing something. But then there were so many times when I was neither eating, nor was I meditating, nor was I sleeping. I was just sitting. We had nothing to do. That was our break time. I observed that some people started washing clothes that were not even that dirty. This shows how we are so used to getting busy at all times, and we constantly need to do something in order to, remain sane. So I, on the other hand, tried to embrace boredom. I tried to see what the higher limit of boredom was like. And it turned out that it was only ugly in the beginning. But on the later days, I was just able to sit down quietly without doing anything. And this has become a very good skill that I've developed from Vipassana. Because being able to sit silently, doing nothing and still not feeling bad about yourself is a very good thing. And I think that productivity does not necessarily mean being busy throughout the day. There are two types of productive days. One is where you're constantly filling your day with activities, creative activities, activities that help you grow. On the other hand, the other kind of productive days, in my opinion, is a day in which you take total rest. You give your body a relaxation break. You give your mind a relaxation break. You unlearn things rather than constantly learning things. You subtract things from your life rather than adding things to make your life all the more complex. So this was my experience with staying silent for 10 days at Vipassana. If you have any questions related to Vipassana, and if you want to go to Vipassana and you have something that you need to ask me, you can feel free to write them down in the comment section. I'll make sure that I answer each of your queries. Similarly, if you like this video, make sure you like it and also consider subscribing to my channel if you found my content valuable. So I'll be coming up with similar videos revolving around lifestyle design and self-development. Make sure you stay tuned and take care. Keep meditating.